Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Chapel Haven Schleifer Center's webinar chat with CareerAbility and talking about customized employment. I am Marissa Witkowski-Eldred. I am our Senior Admissions Associate and doing hosting duties today, just to introduce our speakers to you. And I did want to mention before we get started, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat for Rachel and Sally and Sarah. So if you have any questions as you are listening, you can feel free to just type them in the chat and I will ask them for you. If you're not familiar with where that is, it's just at the bottom of your screen and it'll pop up to the side. So without further ado, I will introduce Sarah and Sally are from Chapel Haven's CareerAbility department. And Rachel Pollock is here with us from JobPath NYC. And I'm sure they will introduce themselves a little bit more and I'll let them take it away.
Thanks, Marissa. And thank you everyone for your time today. We decided to do this as a kind of second to our meet and greet, which we did in June, which is on Chapel Haven's YouTube. If you ever want to see like an overview of CareerAbility in general, but customized employment is something that we specialize in, and it's a unique approach to employment, and we definitely wanted to create this opportunity to educate you as parents on the approach and also use this as a resource for future families we work with. So thank you so much for being here. So real quick, some introduction. So my name is Sarah Elston. I'm the Career Development Manager with CareerAbility. I've been here about 3 years, and basically I receive all the referrals, help with our program development, guide our different programs and our individuals through our services. So it's great to be here, and you guys are, our number one players helping our individuals in employment. Your collaboration is key. So I just really appreciate your time. And Sally Carter is my colleague in career development as well.
Hi, my name is Sally Carter. I'm a career development advisor. I'm also a speech pathologist. And like Sarah, I'm guiding individuals and families through our services.
I'll introduce myself.
Hi, Rachel.
I'm Rachel Pollock. I work for an organization in New York City called JobPath, and we actually help teach customized employment to Chapel Haven maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. So, but I'm also, I think the reason why folks at Chapel Haven invited me is because I'm also a parent of an adult who's actually 33 years old with autism. And so I think they thought it would be helpful in talking to parents to also get my perspective as a parent and as a practitioner who's worked with parents a lot.
Absolutely. All right. So our goals for today, this session, like I said, is intended for our current families. So, you already have knowledge of Chapel Haven and hopefully some about CareerAbility. I will refer you to that initial meet and greet on YouTube for more of an overview. But today we're really going to focus on customized employment and what the process looks like. And hopefully you will really feel confident that you understand that process. You're going to hear about the benefits from a parent perspective. We're going to share a couple actual stories from Chapel Haven, and also Rachel will speak to a success story as well. And then of course, we're going to talk about how to get involved. So that's our plan for the day. And just a couple brief points about CareerAbility, if you're not familiar, or just to share with you some of our background. So CareerAbility is Chapel Haven's career development and employment division. And we were founded about 5 years ago to really build on Chapel Haven's mission to bring meaningful employment to the people we serve. And our program and our model, incorporates best practices in the field, including giving our individuals opportunity for discovery, job skill development, and then, of course, enhanced job placement services. This is a picture of us at our recent 50th anniversary. That's like literally a third of our department, I think. And just to give you guys some outcomes, in the 5 years that we've been, an official program. We've helped people in their career development in the following ways. So what I love is that we've helped place people into jobs in 15 out of the 16 career clusters. So basically, we're not just focusing on a couple key areas like food service or cleaning or, some more of those stereotypical areas. We're really trying to broaden, the scope of placements and really make long-term matches in no matter the industry. 100% of the people that we work with, engage in job skill development. So they're building their skills to, just always continue to progress and be their best selves. We've secured about 88% of the adults referred into competitive jobs. 100 of those people have retained their jobs for 90 days and 94% have retained beyond 1 year. So pretty good outcomes. For the purpose of today, when we're talking about customized employment, CareerAbility works with over 100 individuals, but customized employment is a very specific approach. And I just wanted to give you sort of a gauge of how often we do it or how experienced we are. And we've been doing it we've been officially trained for about 3 years, but we've been doing it to some capacity in the 5 years. And we've done a total of about 15 placements, customized employment placements. So averaging about 3 per year. So it's not great numbers. This process takes a long time and it's not for everyone. It's a very specific approach. So you'll learn more about that now. But we have had the pleasure to be formally trained and mentored. So we hope to just continue to grow our scope and offer this service. And then these are just 3 kind of core principles of CareerAbility in general. So we are very person-centered. We take a positive, strengths-based approach when we're working with our individuals. Collaboration is key. We definitely work as a team, and we create a personal and career development plan that kind of leads our job seeker along their path towards employment and always keeping their strengths in the forefront. We have very comprehensive support for continuous growth in employment and towards someone's goals. So we're going to talk more about the supports later, but we have very thorough support at every stage of the process. And then, like I said, we are formally trained by JobPath. We've had a great mentorship from them since 2020. And then we are also formally trained and have a certification with ACRE in customized employment. And that just happened actually this year. So we're proud of that. Okay, so we're going to get into what is customized employment. Sally.
So what is customized employment? We want to get into the actual specifics. Customized employment is a national model that states and agencies are beginning to adopt. And here we've got the Department of Labor's definition of customized employment. It is a process for achieving competitive integrated employment or self-employment through a relationship between employee and employer that is personalized to meet the needs of both. And that word personalized, customized, person-centered, we're going to hit that a lot today. That's what it's all about. It's a universal strategy that benefits many people, including people with disabilities who might not have found success through other employment strategies. In 2014, customized employment was included in the Title IV of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act as a strategy under the definition of supported employment. So, a few more specifics. Can you switch for me, Sarah? What is customized employment? Customized employment seeks opportunities that result in competitive pay and an integrated work setting, as mentioned in the formal definition. It involves a structured process, and to create those opportunities, we use strategies like job carving, job modification, and job creation. So the opportunities that we're finding are not necessarily, somebody putting up a listing on Indeed. These are things that we're having to go out into the community and create or modify from an already existing job. Customized employment is different from other approaches in that it does not use the opening to place model, which means that rather than trying to fit the job seeker into just a job that happens to be available, we're looking to customize a job around their interests and their skills. With customized employment, we are also aiming to broaden horizons from those stereotypical jobs available to people with disabilities, cleaning, agriculture, things like that. Over to Rachel.
And so we don't have to use customized employment for everybody. Actually, my agency has chosen to use it for everybody, but most agencies that work with people, they focus on customized employment with particular people who can benefit from it because it's harder for them to access the kind of job they need from the job market. And so this graph just kind of shows the kinds of people that we think of for customized employment. So very often it's somebody who has limited or no work history. And that could be someone coming out of school who has no experience, but very often it's someone who we've been working with for a long time in other areas and they haven't worked before and we want to give them the opportunity. It's really, really helpful with people who've had a bad experience in employment before. And usually that's because they've been matched with a job that isn't right for them, that doesn't meet the conditions in which they're going to thrive. We find that it's been particularly useful for people with autism spectrum disabilities because when there are people who have kind of a unique set of skills and interests that you really want to capitalize on because it's an important piece of who they are and what they bring, that is a time when we often think about customized employment. Even if someone could get another job, a regular job, we really want to capitalize on their particular skills. When we have people who have very specific set of skills that don't match a whole array of skills, that's another place where we think about customized employment. And when the person has very particular conditions because of behavioral needs or because of a sensory problem or a physical issue in transportation, those are all times that we think about customized employment being a good possibility. And I think you can move to the next slide.
Great, thank you, Rachel. So this is our first example from Chapel Haven of a customized job. So this is David, and he was featured on our Workplace Wednesday post on Facebook recently. And he is a Chapel Haven graduate from Reach. He's currently living in the SAIL program. And David came to us, he had a history of volunteering mostly in food service and retail. Frankly, not very well matched to his skill set, but he always wanted to work and was very motivated to do so, just never really found a place where he thrived. So we started working with him and clearly noticed he had very, very strong observational skills and attention to detail. He has a lifelong love of cars, and he's definitely the kind of person that can tell you every make and model. He knows what every staff member drives and where they are at any given day. He has just such a unique skill about him in that way. So we started working with him in discovery throughout the pandemic. So it took almost 2 years discovery because he stopped and started a lot due to, the health concerns. But his discovery period, which we're going to talk a lot more about, included an experience at a local car dealership. We really wanted to explore this love of cars and, what he could do there. And he actually excelled in car washing and detailing. David, in past volunteer experiences, had pretty high support needs. And this was something that he was doing almost completely independently, and with, some minimal coaching was really, really excelling. So We started job development in September of 2021, and we stumbled upon this small local auto mechanic, and we ended up partnering with them, and a job was created for David with the small business owner who definitely had like lifelong customers, had a lot of regular business, but really wanted to grow his business and wanted to increase sales of used cars on his lot, because he was mostly mechanical work, but wanted to really build that part of his business. And so we negotiated to create a job for David that David could offer car washing to customers, maybe who are getting an oil change or something, but specifically to the used cars. And that would in turn hopefully increase the sales. So there's a lot of negotiating on that on his behalf. And David ended up doing a short work trial period in March, and then he was officially hired and put on the payroll in April. So that process of job development took about 6 months, and David's currently in the job and has been working for about 3 months. And, we'll talk more about this, but I think that the whole idea of customized employment is like the value for the employer. We talked about more business, hopefully more revenue. Also, the owner definitely ensured values and this commitment to like working with the community and wanting to be having a more inclusive work environment. And then of course, there was a lot of value for David. It built on his strengths. He's a very social person. And there was a lot of social elements to this job, but he could also work at his own pace. Like if he only washed 1 car per hour, that was no problem for the owner. And also it's extremely close to his home, which he needs and relies on Uber for transportation. And then we are providing the support to onboard, which we're going to talk about. So that's one of our examples of customized employment to start to give you an idea of what it could look like.
So what qualities does a job seeker need when they're considering coming to us to work with us for customized employment? First and foremost, they need to want to work. That's fundamental to the whole thing. They need to be able to make finding employment a top priority. As we continue in the process and get closer to actually finding a job, it might require skipping class for an interview, or once you're in negotiations to be placed in a job, you might need to consider how that's going to affect your class schedule and adjust your class or rec schedule to accommodate those work hours. And if you're not open to that, that's going to be very limiting. They need to be invested in the entire process, from those first meetings and interviews to staying prepared throughout the job development phase, which can at times start to feel very long. They also need to consider the timing in their life. Are there any other major changes coming up that they need to be mindful of? Like, for instance, are they having a move coming up? Are they transitioning into or out of a program? That's something that's going to require a lot of attention. And for some people, they might have a lot of difficulty handling both at the same time. So are they at a place where they can make the commitment to being fully committed to the job process? So here's a quick overview of our process. I'm going to walk you through each step in detail, but we start with the period of discovery. We use information that's gathered in discovery to guide job development. And then finally, an individual is placed in their job and we provide support to them. So at all stages of our planning, like I said, when we were talking about that formal definition, the focus is on person-centered planning. Person-centered planning, just like it sounds like, is ensuring that the job seeker is at the center of all the decisions in the planning. They're driving everything. It could be indirect, like looking at the people in their lives who are going to be able to speak to their profile as a job seeker, or them directly participating by telling us, this is what I'm interested in, I can't do this. Rather than focusing on what they can't do, as Sarah mentioned, we focus on their skills, needs, and interests that they do have. And it's not just about the job seeker. We want to make sure that we're including everyone in their life who might have insight, and they're brought in as part of our career management team, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about on the next slide. It should keep in mind their quality of life, and importantly ensures that everyone on the team is on the same page as we go through the process, and helps refocus us as we go. Is what we're talking about at this stage in the best interest of the person? Is it keeping in mind all of the things that we've discussed all along, their interests, their needs, their conditions, and what's ideal for the person? And now I can talk a little bit about the first step, discovery. This is the first step in our process. The career management team that I mentioned earlier usually consists of the job seeker, their direct support staff, like here it would be their ASAT advisor, maybe their support coordinator or their reach teacher, family members, and of course CareerAbility staff. Discovery is led by myself or Sarah as their career advisors, and we are going to be the people who are helping coordinate services and helping facilitate communication within our own department and to other departments like Reach or ASAP. The goal of Discovery is to take the time to get to know the job seeker in a variety of environments and build trust between them and between the whole team. As a part of Discovery, we might ask for previous reports and records like speech language evaluations, medical evaluations, anything like that that we can review to get an idea of their history or anything about previous employment. We will also conduct interviews with people around the job seeker, with people like family, with their support staff, current or past supervisors, anyone who can speak to their profile as a job seeker. We might also want to conduct observations. These could be at work sites, they could be on campus, but whatever they are, they're going to be chosen very intentionally to evaluate some specific thing that we or the family has a question about going into the process, or a question that we identify as we're beginning to discuss the customized employment process. For instance, we did have one job seeker who was really interested in working with animals, but in the past had issues around barking dogs. That was a big issue for him, but it had been a number of years since then. He thought, and his parents thought, he'd come a long way in handling loud noises since then. So we wanted to see what he would be like in an environment like that. So we were able to find a local pet store for him to go to and see how he dealt with that noise, because obviously loud noises are going to be part of the job in most pet related businesses. And we were able to observe not only those information to answer those sensory questions, but also while he was there, we were able to evaluate a lot of other things. You get a lot of information from people when they're actually on the job or completing a specific task, like is he able to follow verbal instructions? How are his fine motor skills? We also had a question about those. So after we conclude discovery, we move on to job development.
I just want to chime in for a minute, Sally.
Of course.
I just wanted, one of the things about discovery is that what we're doing is we're trying to get away from the idea of assessing people by a standard. So all of these observations are sort of non-evaluative. They're set up to find out things about people, to learn their interests, to really see them at their best. And that's what's so great about it, is we're not assessing people against a standard and sort of saying you have to be able to work 6 hours in a row doing these particular tasks in order to succeed.
Right. And once we find out all of those things in discovery, we put all that information together from the interviews, the reports, the observations. All of that is summarized into an employment plan. The employment plan is used to guide the whole team, but particularly involved in this phase is our business and community relations specialist, who is responsible for job development. Our job developer here is Abby Hayfie, and as the individual enters job development, she will begin scheduling one-on-one meetings with them to, again, build her knowledge of the individual, build trust between herself and the job seeker. And they're going to complete a number of activities together. They might be writing cover letters, they might be attending interviews, they might be discussing job leads. You know, let's look together at this listing on Indeed just to get an idea of what this sort of job you're wanting to get will entail. Do you think that you could do these things? Oh, here's something that I think might be a little difficult. And all of this information is used to shape the job that the opportunity that we end up seeking for them. Throughout this stage, the career advisor is also meeting with the job seeker to check in with them. And Abby is always going out into the community with the goal of building bonds between Chapel Haven and local businesses. But once she begins meeting with an individual and becomes familiar with them and their team and all the information that's gathered in their employment plan, she and the whole team are working together to identify and to reach out to businesses that might be compatible with the job seeker's profile, with the goal of creating an opportunity for them that is very specific to the job seeker. Taking an example of someone who was very interested in food service but had some conditions around it. Abby and I were regularly meeting with him to update his professional portfolio, you know, things like his resume. Does he have references in order from a couple past jobs, and review job leads? But at the same time, Abby and our whole team were meeting to identify, okay, what are some food service businesses in the area that he can reach by public transport, that he can, where he's able to focus on food prep mostly with limited customer service? Is it a business that's going to be supportive to the individual, open to working with us? We actually ended up reaching out to a local restaurant that already employs another of our individuals and who had a listing posted. And Abby was able to reach out, speak to them, talk to them about what their current needs are. And we recently had a very successful work trial. So the whole idea is starting from this employment plan, from all this information we've gathered, and taking that out into the community to find something that we can create for them. The time frame for this phase does vary a lot depending on the individual's needs, the industry, labor market, time of year, all of that. And the level of customization also varies from person to person. That's something that's part of our discussion as we're wrapping up discovery, heading into job development, something that we're talking about the entire time. And as specific leads come up or specific job offers come up, is something that's always part of the conversation. How much customization, what kind of customization is going to be necessary here?
One thing I wanted to add there is that, you know, we will work closely with the job seekers team to figure out how they will stay, you know, engaged in their daily life during this period if they are unemployed or, you know, don't have a lot going on, because we of course are engaging them in activities, but it's not a regular schedule or, you know, a full thing. The job development can take some time. So we usually tell people, you know, be ready for this to take about 6 months. It could be less, it could be more, but it takes time to find the right match. But we will, you know, of course, work collaboratively to help, you know, that person move through this very uncertain time. Remember looking for a job, it can be very uncertain. So I feel like a lot of support, wraparound support is needed during this stage. Okay.
And I was also just going to add that throughout this, there's a lot of communication with whoever their point person is in the service they're receiving, support coordinator, advisor, whoever. A lot of, you know, discussion back and forth between us to make sure we're all on the same page.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about that process of finding the right match and what it means and what it doesn't mean. I think sometimes when we think about matching people, we think about dream jobs. And that doesn't mean that sometimes in doing customized employment, we don't find people their dream job, because every once in a while we do. But really what we're trying to do is get people an opportunity to engage in the workforce in a really positive way. So the right job isn't always the dream job, but it can be a job that really suits the person when you would, rather than putting them into something that doesn't work for them at all. And so, and I wanted to kind of give an example. And so these stories actually have to do with one of the individuals we worked with, who, when we started first doing customized employment at Job Path, I'm going to name him Mark for now, but he was a very talented young man who was actually quite social in some ways, but had some rigidities. And he had a passion for sports statistics, and he was very, very detail oriented. And so when we first started working with him, because we were thinking about dream jobs and we were thinking about interests, we spent months trying to find a job for him in the sports entertainment world. And of course, we're in New York, so we thought, okay, we can use these leads. We can find him a job that will match his tasks and his ability, his detail oriented with tendencies with the sports world. And after a year, I mean, we spent a year trying to do this. We finally, actually, one of our voc rehab counselors with the state said, "What are you all doing? I mean, this guy has abilities. Why are you focusing on this one dream job?" And this, we were new at this, so we learned. And we backed out, and we really focused not on finding him that dream job, but finding a job that really capitalized on the tasks that he could do, which were a range of clerical tasks and a range of fiscal tasks that he could do. And we sat down with a law firm who I had a contact with. We sat down with all the departments in that law firm and found tasks in 5 different departments in that law firm that capitalized on his strengths. One was in the financial department doing Excel work. Another one was doing packets for their admissions, their recruitment department. Another one was doing filing in their library with very intricate filing of legal documents. So we found a job that helped him grow. It wasn't that perfect match that matched all of his interests, but it was capitalizing on his abilities. And it was important to customize, not because he had, significant challenges, but because in New York City and a lot of places now, that clerical work is hard to find. And so customizing was one way to be able to partner with employers to say, yeah, you have needs. This person can match those needs, but it doesn't have to be the perfect job. And he really loves that job. And he's been actually there he must have been there for 10 or 12 years now. So it turned out to be not a really very, very, maybe not dream job, but it was, and he wasn't telling us that it had to be a perfect job. We had that idea. And so it's important. Interests are not all that matters. A lot of it, what matters is finding someplace that someone's going to thrive and contribute and feel really good about their contribution to a workplace.
So once we do find that right match, we identify an opportunity, we have a job offer, we are all going to sit down and review it as a team. And assuming that we do agree that it's the right match, and we as a team decide, yes, the job seeker should accept it, we move on to job placement. And once an individual is placed in a job, a career transition specialist is going to support the individual on the job in getting established. That might include helping them establish appropriate work relationships, or learning their transportation route, analyzing tasks by breaking them down into steps, or identifying accommodations that they think would benefit them. There is an expectation of fading supports over time, with the goal of the individual eventually attending and carrying out their job with the highest level of independence that they're able to. So speaking a little more specifically about their support, we've already discussed what the job seeker is receiving initially during the process itself, including career advisement from myself or Sarah, or support from Abby and the whole team during job development, and finally support from their CTS specifically once they're placed. But once they're in a job, we want to establish ongoing supports in order to maintain that success long term. We can't be there, every day of the job for the rest of however long they hold that job. So it's important to establish those supports on site. And in addition to that, we do conduct ongoing job monitoring in the long term the individual isn't suddenly dropping off the team's radar just because they've hit a certain number of days in the job. This might be something like check-ins to ensure things are going well. If there's some sort of change, like adding hours or tasks, or we come across some sort of conflict on the job, we might step back in to resolve that, and then they can continue on. But it's also important to have those on-site supports established, and that's part of the CTS's job when they are in that job placement phase and helping them get established, making sure that they're being set up with natural supports. So that means helping them identify someone, for instance, who's appropriate to go to with questions, or seeing if there's someone who could step into a mentorship role in addition to whatever official supervisor they have. We might also provide employer training to the organization or to select employees within the company to make them aware of what they can expect and strategies for ensuring that individuals are fully integrated and comfortable in their position in the long term.
So just a little bit about the process from a family point of view. I just think it's just a great opportunity for collaboration between, the agency that works with people and family. The whole process is geared to finding out things that are not superficial. And although Chapel Haven or my agency, Job Path, gets to know people really well, there's nobody who knows. We all know as parents, there's no one who knows our son and daughter better than we do. And there are nuanced things that are important that the input through in-depth interviews with family and friends really helps understand and can make really the big difference between success and failure. What's really unique about customized employment is that you do this discovery process, but then you funnel it all into a planning process where families also involved. And so it's an opportunity to test out in a planning meeting with everybody together, to test out really what makes sense for that person. Sometimes we work with people who individuals who we support who overestimate their abilities. Sometimes they underestimate their abilities. Sometimes they rigidly focus on something. And that planning process that involves the family allows us to get a plan that really works from the point of view of people, everybody who knows the person the best. And so for families, it's a very, very secure process. It does sometimes take longer, as we've all tried to signal to you, but because we're all geared on knowing what the blueprint is that we're looking for, it is a very positive process. And I can think of very few family members who don't feel supported by the process. The next slide. And so just a little bit, just a couple minutes about my son, Alex. So not only, did I work for years in my agency, but I had such confidence in the process that, of course, my son, Alex, went through the process. And he's a very talented young man with challenges. So, he has difficulty communicating, answering open-ended questions. He's verbal, but it's hard for him to tell people what he needs. So he needs particular kind of supportive environments. And he graduated from Adelphi with a college degree, so he had a lot of concrete knowledge, but executive function things are hard for him. And so it was really important to have very concrete tasks for him in a supportive environment, but to be tasks that challenged him. And so what happened with Alex is that he initially got a customized internship while he was still in college with an organization, and he did it actually, it was a volunteer internship that he did through Job Path's Day program with a very creative organization that was doing creating space and video equipment for filmmakers. And so it was a really creative staff. He's very creative. His major was music history. So it was really nice for him to have that environment. But through the internship, we defined some specific tasks that he could do. It turned into, after graduation, it was so successful, it turned into a 2-day-a-week job that had even more tasks involved. Then about a year and a half down the road, we worked with another employer and customized another job for another 2 days. And that was a good thing that we did that, because this business decided to move their location to upstate New York. So he lost this job, but then we were able to expand the other job using the same skills that he had developed in this first job. So he now has another job 4 days a week for a local developmental disability agency in their HR department, doing a set of specific clerical tasks that are concrete enough for him to work on independently, but challenging enough so he's not bored. And it's been great.
Thanks for sharing that, Rachel. That's great. Great example. I have another example for you, our last example. So this is Abby. She is living in the Westville area in our supported living program. She came to us in fall of 2019, and she had over 10 years of volunteer experience, but never had a paying job, and clearly was ready to, bring her value. And she knew she deserved to be paid. I loved her drive when she came to us. So Abby came as a huge animal lover and gardener. She had a certificate in husbandry from Post University, I believe. But she had experienced a number of roadblocks looking for a job in that field, particularly. For example, she needs public transportation or paratransit, and many farms were out of the area, so they were hard to get to. She didn't meet a lot of the qualifications for a lot of the posted positions in the field. She tended to struggle to express herself in job interviews. Interviews made her extremely nervous, and just frankly, employers tended to be really off put by her small stature. They always were concerned with liability, and the horses particularly. So we started working together right before the pandemic. And then the pandemic really slowed some things down, but Abby did some discovery at a horse farm and then at a dog grooming business, in addition to the interviews and going to see her skills as a gardener, etc. And we started job development after discovery in about October of 2020. And we ended up partnering with a small equestrian center in Woodbridge, Connecticut, very close to where Abby lives. And they, very small business, family run. They don't have a lot of paid employees on staff, but they really needed help. The family was experiencing some health issues. They realized, wow, we don't have a lot of backup plans. We really need some staff, but we don't have a great budget. And they needed help specifically with feeding and watering the horses and some general barn maintenance. They also had some other little animals and had some gardening needs as well. So we were able to negotiate and create a position for Abby that was, just 3 days a week, a few hour shifts, something that they could afford as a business, but also really scaffolded her tasks for her. Abby was very nervous about horse handling in the beginning, so her role only included certain things and then progressed over time. So she started her job in April of 2021. So it took about 7 months in job development. And she's still employed over 1 year. And over time, she's gained more responsibility. She works now completely independently without a job coach. And as you can imagine, there was value for both. The employer experienced, peace of mind, and they could be more efficient, that they knew some of these everyday tasks were taken care of. It worked for them financially. And also for Abby, like I said, it was close to home. It built on her strengths, but also her being able to progress and kind of work at her own pace and work up to tasks and independence was really important for her. She had never really been given that opportunity before. And we did quite a bit of training throughout, and we still offer Abby with check-ins, mostly offsite. But it's been a success story for sure. And even through the pandemic, it took longer, but we got there, and she's very, very happy. She loves what she does. All right, so to start wrapping up, I think one of the biggest things when we talk to employers, but of course with job seekers and families, is we talk about the benefits of an inclusive workplace. And this is something that we literally use when we're meeting with new employers, even if we're developing for a volunteer experience or an internship. But of course, always customized employment is that all these things have been proven by a number of studies. You can look them up, but we also have just experienced this, that when you have a more inclusive workplace, people feel more motivated to come to work. They have a deeper purpose in their job. We see this a lot with direct supervisors, our mentors. They tell us all the time that, wow, Abby or David has brought me so much more meaning to my daily job, and also helped me learn so much about myself. So on that sort of morale and deeper sense of meaning for the employees, it's really been great. And then of course for that, our individual, the job seeker, it helps increase their confidence, and they see that they're a part of something and they belong. And, as we talked about in all of the success stories, definitely having an inclusive workplace can really have a positive influence on a company's bottom line in many instances. And all these things have sort of like a ripple effect. And we also know that with diverse perspectives bring, greater problem solving, that team environment. If it's a true inclusive workplace where people of different perspectives and backgrounds and skill sets, et cetera, are really given a voice. So that's something that we really try to help our employers build in their own workplace. Okay, so if you're unsure why you should work with us, we're awesome, but I really think that CareerAbility, we're very lucky to have this program at Chapel Haven, and we are very excited to bring customized employment to the agency. We're now certified, which is wonderful. I think we do have the privilege to be able to collaborate across the different departments at Chapel Haven and provide that wraparound approach that's very unique to Chapel Haven. So that's wonderful. Something that I feel proud of, that when I come to work every day, is that our program is always progressing and developing. We try to learn from every single case and every single experience, and we're not afraid to try something new or change things if they're not working. And I really think that speaks to our multidisciplinary team. And we really believe in this process. And I think like the people that work at Chapel Haven and CareerAbility just genuinely believe that everyone can work. And Sally and I talk about it all the time. We're walking in the courtyard and people come up to us and they want to talk about work. And the students feel really passionate about that. And we're hearing their goals and what they want to do. And they're starting to picture it being possible for them, which is really exciting. I did just briefly want to mention, we can always talk at another time, but we do have other services. And we typically map out a career development plan for students when they first come to Chapel Haven. Chapel Haven has volunteering. We have work-based learning, more like these internships or career training programs. We also still do have group supported employment as well, in addition to these individual employment services. But again, customized employment is this specific approach that some people will need. So, but CareerAbility does have a variety of services. And I hope, that all of our graduates, when they graduate their residential program, they continue to work with us. But of course you have a choice. And I just wanted to, Sally and I will always help connect you if you don't have the finances or you need other options to other state vendors or other employment services in the area. We're happy to do that. I do, just from an advocacy perspective, I encourage you to ask any provider you're working with about customized employment, if they do it, what their experience is in it. Are they trained? We are seeing that in Connecticut, there are more providers being trained. The Department of Developmental Services now recognizes it as a service that you could advocate for. So, you know, just generally, I hope you learned a lot about this approach today, whether you work with us or not. And if you are interested in getting involved with us, in general, if your child is a current student or affiliated with Chapel Haven, you know, actively, you're attached to a core program, which I think everybody is. We hopefully, me or Sally is always invited to like progress meetings or these core meetings that you guys have. If not, we are happy to get involved. But say you have never talked to us before, reach out to me. We would do just some paperwork, have a team meeting to get the process started. For customized employment specifically, given the amount of time it takes, we are accepting new referrals for that in January of 2023 for the customized employment. So, you know, that's like 6 months away. So if that's something that you're interested in, we can definitely talk. And I would be happy to answer any of your questions. And I think I've, you know, familiar with most people here, but if not, we will definitely connect. This is being recorded and Marissa will post it on Chapel Haven's YouTube for future reference. I believe she's also going to send out the link to all participants after this. And please refer to the YouTube as well for sort of the general overview of CareerAbility. And yeah, I just thank you guys so much. We'll open it up to questions. Also, if you guys have ideas for parent info sessions or workshops that you'd like to do, you'd like to hear about or learn more, you know, Sally and I are always open to doing more. We love working with parents and having this collaboration. So yeah, let's open it up to questions, and then we can also send this PowerPoint later. We have a short video, but I think we'll save that for the replay. So yeah, so any questions, or I saw some things in the chat. Recording.
You can also just feel free to unmute yourself if you don't want to type it in the chat. That's fine.
What do you want to ask?
No,
I just unmuted.
unmuted.
Yeah.
All right. Just wanted. Yeah, we're with Sam's parents.
Hi guys.
Sam decide to, or should he pursue some, you know, employment rather than just volunteering all over the place, or some of the places?
So should he? Is that what you're asking? What, like my opinion on what he should do at this point?
Perhaps he could, or he should, or asking, you know, we just,
Yeah, and I know, so I won't speak too specific to Sam, you know, given the platform. I know we can talk more, but I think that this is definitely, to Sally's point, considering timing. I think that Sam, like many people, could for sure benefit from customized employment, but I think it's like, think about the timing in your life and what you're able to invest as far as the effort on Sam's part. So if our individuals, you know, are dealing with this often, like if they're taking classes, or if they're trying to enjoy summer, or I don't know, if he needs to be fully ready to dive into this process with the goal of finding that meaningful long-term job, not just your part-time weekend job or something like that. I feel like this customized employment is definitely, you know, we need his full attention. Employment needs to be a top priority. So that's why, you know, many people, if they are in college or something, you know, we might wait until they earn their certificate or their degree, if that's what they want to focus on first. And then
we sent you an email, not just you, but some of the others about
I
Sam.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
with the certificate, and see if he's there's another program that might be a little easier for him to satisfy
Mhm.
every. I don't know what the
Yeah,
status.
and you know, one thing I'll say about CareerAbility is that we can offer like hourly services. So we can provide someone with hourly career advisement, say like Sam, if, hey, you know, I have this career goal, or I'm not sure what I want to do, or can you help me look into things? You know, we can meet with someone and help advise them on that one-on-one level to start, or something. It doesn't have to be this comprehensive thing to start. This customized employment is a very specific service, but yeah, so I'll definitely get back to you guys and we'll talk more. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Um,
Sarah.
I just wanted to clarify something real quick. I think Sarah, while you were speaking fast, you said something about it being full-time. I just want to clarify that when we're looking for customized employment, obviously it's all dependent on the individual. And if they feel that they can take on a full-time job, that's what we'll look for, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a full-time position.
Yes. Thank you, Sally. I feel like it's just depends. Like even David, he started with 4 hours a week. You know, that's sometimes that needs a customized job because it's so minimal. But then other people, yeah, it's like I need full time. I have this income requirement every month. Let me see, David Orsolini, I see your question about your son starting the PAVE program. Yeah, we're so excited for Max. I think that the PAVE program is a 10-month internship program that we do, that a lot of the residential students do. The whole purpose is, okay, you kind of have a general idea of what you're good at or what you want to do, but you want to gain experience and really build some professional skills. So I think that our employment services would be a great next step for Max. We expect most students to be well prepared once they do the PAVE program. I think we'll learn in the PAVE program what level of customization Max would need in a job. I think that it's kind of like PAVE will be some of our discovery. He may not need, you know, a very customized job, or he might, I'm not sure at this point. So we're doing that, and the PAVE program is included in a residential program tuition. So it's just a nice experience for students. I hope that answered your question. Any other questions?
Sarah, this is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I had asked you, first of all, thank you for mentioning the ability to sort of consult with CareerAbility on an hourly basis. Can you give, I realize you can't speak specifically, but can you talk just in general terms about the kind of investment that would be required from a family in order to move through the customized employment process?
Yeah, definitely. So it's so nice to see you. So, okay. So say if for your person, Andrew, we've worked with Andrew quite a bit. So I don't think we would need to we've done a lot of discovery. So I think we would almost be able to maybe do a couple more things, but we would almost be able to start in job development. So our typical package is a comprehensive package. It's 3 installments. So you kind of pay for this discovery phase, the job development phase, and then the job placement phase. And it's based on, you know, it is a package because it's like you pay for up to this many hours of support for each stage. And it is an investment, but the services can last like over a year, and you're paying the first upfront, but then the next one, someone gets a job once they reach a certain retention level. So, and I'm happy to talk budget and proposals with you. I don't like to share a flat number because we do it's like a starting point, and we do kind of adjust it for someone. What I will share too is that CareerAbility has been able to apply someone's state funding for the job coaching once someone is in a job. So if you do have any state funds, we can advocate with that case manager to have the funds allocated for that one-to-one job coaching, as long as that person has the approved budget. So I hope that answered your question and we can talk.
Yeah,
more.
great. I'll follow up
Okay.
with you after. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you guys so much for this. And yeah, please just reach out if you have any other questions. I was going to try to put my contact information, but it's selsden@chapelhaven.org. I'm extension 215. And we can always talk and help map out a plan for your child. And yeah, and like I said, I hope this helps you spread the word about customized employment to your you know, friends and family who are in this community. And, you know, I think it's just good to know it's an underutilized approach. I think a lot of employers don't know about it. So we're very grateful to have been mentored by Rachel and now offer this service. So thank you guys very much.